I don't want you to forget it, because if you forget it, you're not going to take the lessons.
Right.
Or leave the pain and regret and take the lessons.
Why does your past create pain? I believe it creates pain because that's how human beings change, either their perception or their behavior.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Basically, we talked all about where do you find your importance and your significance in life. That'll help you make effective decisions. Today, for episode number 565, one major reason that your past creates pain.
Tall glass.
I feel like you can lead this one.
Okay.
Do you want to lead it? Because I think this came from your awareness, I believe.
Yeah, so I'll try to provide some context
I
here.
believe.
So I like to open my speeches with this sometimes, where everyone out there listening right now, imagine you're 16 years old, okay? Picture that version of you. You're 16. Imagine how that person thought. Imagine how that person perceived the world. Imagine what that person valued, what they cared about. Now, I want you to think of a decision that you made that you would never make again. Not because you had bad intentions or because you were a bad person, but because you were 16.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to realize that what we just did is we went back into a memory with a higher degree of awareness. And if you're like me, you would never make that decision again. And I would have you ask yourself why. Why did you make that decision back then that you would never make it again? The reason I believe is because now you are more aware of the consequences. You are more aware of the long-term consequences as well of that decision. And you have more pain associated with that bad choice, that poor choice. What I think is really interesting, and I think the way to open this episode up is bad decisions lead to pain, and then pain leads to new awareness, and then new awareness leads to better decisions. And I said this to Kevin earlier, everybody I do believe on some level is doing their best, but not everybody is bettering their best. So Kevin could go into the gym tomorrow.
Which I will.
Which he will. And he could have a terrible workout. You could go in hungover, you could go in not taking pre-workout, you could go in not having ate, you could go in not having gotten good sleep. You could go in literally hungover, and you could perform at maybe 70% of your capacity right now, and it would still be way better than you would still be way stronger and way more effective than you at 16. Mm-hmm. I think everything in life is like that. And I think that the reason we're doing this episode to set the stage is, why does your past create pain? I believe it creates pain because that's how human beings change, either their perception or their behavior. I would argue that everything you know right now, everything you believe right now, has been conditioned from a past experience to some extent.
You ever have a moment? I have a lot of moments in my life where I think back to my childhood. And one example of what we're talking about kind of is regret to a degree, right? Some of it is unconscious regret that you didn't know you were going to have. But a good example of this, my mom one time said, if you swear at me again, that's a great place to start a story.
Right.
I'm going to pour dish soap down your throat. And I did swear at her again. And she poured dish soap down my throat. The moral of the story is the second I became aware that she was actually going to do what she said she was going to do, I wanted to change my approach.
Yeah.
That's happened.
But it was too late.
It was too late.
Right.
That is I think that's what regret is. Regret is you looking back and saying, oh my God, that was such a stupid thing to do, with a new level of awareness and a new understanding that you would never do that again. Yeah. I think that's why your past creates pain. I think, and this is going to be an explorative episode because there's, I don't know where it's going to go yet, but I think that a lot of people, their past continues to create pain for them because they never take the same action again. And instead of
changing their approach.
Yeah, instead of changing your approach or facing your fears or getting out of your comfort zone, whatever it is, you allow your past to be the decision maker for your future. Right? Like, I had a terrible relationship. I'm never going to... I've heard that so many times. Like, men men are garbage from women in my life. And it's like, well, no, I think some of the ones that you've been around, or this person is super untrustworthy. This type of person is super untrustworthy. This. It's like those are stereotypes, and maybe you have a reason in your mind that you think that way, but that one reason isn't necessarily the other 6.999 billion people on the planet.
Right. You've heard this quote. A cat that puts its paw on a hot stove, that sits on a hot stove will never sit on a stove again, whether it's hot or cold. That is conditioning. Okay, so to bring this down to earth for people, Kevin swore at his mom and got dish soap poured down his throat.
Yeah.
What if that conditioned Kevin to never swear ever again? That's the problem. Because swearing necessarily isn't good or bad, but when you did it at that time, it ended up being bad. The best frame that I have for this is we all are conditioned by pain, but we need to be hyper conscious of our conditioning in order to overcome it. So, for example, if you're out there right now and you had a really terrible relationship with a certain type of person, okay, an intimate partner. Let's say you had a really terrible relationship with an engineer, okay, a man who's an engineer. You might assume subconsciously that engineers equal cold and calculated, and that's not the type of person that I want to be with anymore. What if the love of your life was also an engineer who learned emotional intelligence? You would never even go in the room because, that's an engineer. Have you ever heard someone, what's one really, really horrible stereotype where it's just like, all engineers are they're too smart for their own good. What? They're too smart for their own good? I understand what they're trying to say. What they're trying to say is that engineers get in their own head and sometimes they don't have common sense. Okay, I get it, right? But those stereotypes, those conditionings, those generalizations are holding us back. Because if you believe what I just said, that engineers are too smart for their own good, and this is just one, there's thousands of memes, this is mind viruses, then you might miss out on the love of your life because he has an engineering degree.
Do you have engineering memes? I don't think I've ever seen an engineering meme.
I went to an engineering school.
I roll in the wrong circles.
Yeah. Well, what's a meme that you can think of that holds people back?
A meme? Oh man, one of the I've said this so many times. Like when you have so little money in your bank account that you, instead of just checking, you go to sleep or whatever, like something like that, where it just basically positively makes hiding from feedback. Yeah, and it like we've all had those times in our life
for sure.
But I wish I checked for sure,
right?
For sure.
And then you regret not checking.
Yeah. It's almost like in a weird way. And this episode isn't about memes, but this is kind of do the opposite. Probably do the opposite, because how many of those memes, if you're watching or listening, have you said like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I've done that. Then ask yourself, is that serving me?
Exactly.
Like I used to not check my bank account when I didn't know how my funds were. I wouldn't check and just hope everything was going to be okay.
Right.
I remember one of the things that brought us closer, I texted Alan one day and said, hey, I'm $7,000 in credit card debt. Like, what do I do? And you're like, do you have the money to pay it off? I was like, yeah. Pay it off.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Right.
Okay. And that was a huge thing for me. I knew the answer, but I didn't have the courage or belief to do it, and you helped me with that.
Okay, reflecting on that. So Kevin's a business owner now. Like you have your numbers dialed in. You check your bank account every day.
I do.
Every single day. Honestly, you're really good at that. You do better than almost anyone I know at this point.
I love, but again, dig a level deeper. I am motivated more by money than almost anything else. So
right.
I love seeing the numbers go up. I hate seeing the numbers go down. So it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
But right now
that serves you.
But right now
in business,
I love it
for sure.
I
love it though. So okay, you texted me and you said like I have $7,000 worth of credit card debt, and you how long did you ignore looking at that?
Oh man, a year.
Okay, here's a good frame. What was the interest rate?
21%.
21%. Okay. Oh my god.
Discover got me.
Yeah, they.
I believe it was 20. It was 19 or 21.
I'll tell you what one of my mentors told me. These are not my words, but he said it. He said, "Alan, They are lining their pockets with people's ignorance. Okay. It is what it is. All right. I'm not against credit cards. I'm not against credit card companies. I'm against us being ignorant and not knowing. So Kevin didn't know how much money he was wasting. You might as well have been burning money, man, straight up. Because unless you're going to make 21% in the stock market on the money you have, which is very, very rare, even the best traders in the world don't do that, the opportunity cost. I'm not going to get into that. That's not what this episode's about. But reflecting on that experience, how many years did you let 21% rack?
Probably like 3.
Okay, so if I calculated how much money you wasted, it would be high.
Oh,
you might as well burn like $4,000 or $5,000. Okay, now knowing what you know now, do you regret that?
Well, now that I think of it, yeah, it's not something I consciously think about. Yeah, of course.
Okay,
of course.
Now, this is what I believe. I believe that other people have a very poor relationship with regret, and I'm glad we're talking about this. Because let's say there's 2 versions of Kevin right now. One of them goes back into that memory of wasting $3,000 or $4,000 by not paying that off because he didn't know any better and doesn't regret it. Nah, it's no big deal. Excuses it away like, oh, no big deal. I didn't need the money. Okay, that's one type of person. By the way, that's the ego Kevin. And this is hypothetical, so it's not you. Versus the Kevin right now who literally sat there and went, I never really thought about it before, but yeah, like I really regret that. See, the second Kevin is going to change. The second Kevin's future will be brighter because he acknowledged the mistakes of his past. Whereas most people genuinely, and I observe this, they don't want to go there. They don't want to look at their past mistakes, so they keep subconsciously making them. And I think that's what this episode's really about.
I think that, just compounding on what you said, I think there's also another thing of they see the mistake only through the lens of pain and not the potential that it could create.
Exactly.
So I was on a call with a client yesterday, and she had this live show that she put together, and she collected tickets, or she sold tickets, and she sold 80 tickets at $5 a piece.
Nice.
$400. I was like, that's amazing.
Strong work.
And she said, well, I hired a VA, and the VA screwed something up in the series of emails, and none of those people could actually get in. So I have to refund them all their money plus whatever it is, a 1% thing on PayPal
Stripe
or whatever it is. And I said, I honestly am so proud of you for doing it. Yeah. And she's like, what do you mean? It was a massive failure. I said, yeah, of course. It was your first delegation at this level. Of course it was.
Right.
But I'm so proud of you. I know how hard it is to delegate. It's so hard to delegate. Right? It's so hard. And I just went off on it. You're winning.
Right.
You're winning. I know it feels like you're losing right now, but I guarantee when we look back on a year and say, hey, remember that time you lost whatever? Realistically, you didn't really lose that much.
You lost $100.
Yeah, you lost $100. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then I went into it. I was able to tell her, from my scope, I think part of it's probably leadership. I think you probably, need to work on your leadership a little bit more just to level set with your expectations and your communication.
Right.
Boom. How many times have we failed with delegation and things going off the rails?
Every day.
Every day. So I wanted to change her relationship and her association with delegation.
And with failure.
Yeah. And now that, who knows what's going to happen from that?
Do you think failure is good?
I think failure is like anything else. I think it depends on how you use it.
Right.
If you lack belief in yourself, and this is what I lived with, and this is why I can speak from experience. When I succeeded, it was luck. I was a really good baseball player. I batted, anywhere from 350 to 400. That's really good. Hall of Fame numbers in the MLB. I wasn't there. Right. But I always had one of the highest batting averages on the team. I thought I got lucky more often than everybody else.
That's crazy to me.
Where somebody who was very confident and struck out would think, that they just got me that time. Right? Where it was kind of the opposite.
Can you imagine if you actually intended to be a great baseball player?
It would be interesting.
Yeah. You probably would be in the MLB, man,
maybe,
honestly.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a stretch for sure, but
one thing that I will say is that when you look back at your past, you're looking at it from a higher awareness. Mm-hmm. And you've heard a million people say this. If I knew then what I know now, I would do things differently. Yeah. Good, because now you know. Yeah. So the next time she sells
She
an event.
sells by the seashore.
Yeah. strong
Pretty
words.
good.
That was strong. Yeah. The next time she sells seashells by the seashore. Wow, that's harder than I thought. But seriously, the next time she sells an event out, she's going to delegate more effectively.
Yeah.
Why? Because of that reframe. And because of the failure.
Don't you think that it has to do with your standards too, though? Because
For sure.
I've had so many people, and we talk about this on the podcast, and this isn't about me, this is an ego thing, but somebody would see me at the gym, or I'd be outside with my shirt off and be like, I used to look just like you. And it's like, but that's you living in your past. I can tell when you say that,
right,
that you're
done.
Regretting it.
And that you're done, too. You're not like...
So I have...
And they're imposing that on you. They think that you'll look like them when you're their age.
Right. I used to, a lot of, like, well, wait until you have kids, wait until you get married, wait until you... It's like, look... This is part of who I am.
Forever.
This is just a difference. Yeah. But I'll look back. I think this is a great... We told the story recently of when we went to that mansion networking event and I got a little wine drunk and I wasn't so nice to the driver.
Right.
I very easily could look back and be like, that guy was an idiot. He was an idiot. Like, he deserved what I said.
He was.
Well...
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, but still, I want to be better. Right? I want to be better. It's not about... I could have handled
that's my point.
That situation
he was,
better.
but that's not what you...
Exactly.
That's not what you take.
And I think that you have to... If your standards aren't raising, two things will happen. One, your standards raise, and you look back on episode number 50 of your podcast like we do and say, oh my God, that was brutal.
Oh, so bad.
Or your standards change, and you look back, and it's pain.
Yeah.
Right? Your standards, rise. Or your standards stay the same... or lower, and you look back and say, I was so much better back then than I am now. And that second one it's not growth.
Is there anything that you look back on in your past that you were better at before?
I was actually thinking of this yesterday. The gym.
That's it, right?
I used to be stronger.
I feel like I used to be in better shape.
I do
too. A little bit.
I do too. I know I was.
There was a few videos on Facebook that came up of us, and it's like, were we more?
Taryn and I were watching... We were going through my phone last night because I was trying to find out something. And I showed her the video of me hitting mitts with Julian.
Yeah.
And she was like, my God, you were lean. I was like, I know. I was in so much better shape then. I just was.
Yeah.
I just was. I used to be my better shape is leaner. I used to be leaner. I used to have less fat on my body.
Right.
It is. It's true. What happened? I lowered my standards.
I know.
I lowered my standards. So looking back, it's almost like
they lowered over time. It's not like you consciously chose to lower them. It's the frog in the pot of boiling water.
I kind of did.
Yeah, true.
You and I are both doing 45, 50-minute workouts. We're not doing what we used to do.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
It goes deeper, though. Why? We don't have to.
But we also this.
That's what I mean. We don't... Our goals don't require it of us.
Oh, okay.
That's my point, is when I wanted to be the fitness coach... I had more why power underneath being in better shape because it was more integrated into what we do. You and I, being in shape is nice for us, but it's not necessary.
I don't know. It's kind of necessary.
I know. But it's not as
identity.
Necessary as it was back then.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I want to make sure we get across to the listeners. Like, you don't get your shoulds, you get your musts. You get what's necessary. So... what I do when I try to set goals is I try to reverse engineer what will be necessary, what will be required of me to achieve it. And this is something that we'll circle back on, but I had someone close to me reach out to me today and say that she intends to have a net worth of $15 billion. Hell yeah. I said, let's get on the phone. We were already going to be on the phone. And I said, I'm not sure, if I'm honest, that you understand what will be required of you. Because she said, I want to find a way to balance it with home life. And my understanding basically was, I don't think she has any genuine... I'm just going to say this. This person is not necessarily a math mind. That's okay. I don't think she understands... I know she doesn't understand. Because I don't fully understand what that's going to require. So basically what I said is, like, let's jump on the phone because I don't think you fully understand what will be required of you to actually achieve that. And that's okay. That's okay. We all start there, right? You didn't know what this would take.
No idea.
And so if you're out there listening right now, this is all connected, past, present, future. If you don't set a big goal for your future, you don't have to learn from your past. And therefore you won't because it's painful. I intend on being an incredible father. Because I set that intention, I need to go learn from my stepdad what he did and didn't do. And I have to face some of that junk in order to be an incredible father, because otherwise that negative junk will manifest in my relationship with my kids, my relationship with Emilia, my relationship with you. And so the one thing that I don't think I've ever really been able to articulate as well as I would like to, and I'll probably spend my whole life trying to do that, is that your past, present, and future are all connected very much more than you think. And the past is supposed to be painful a little bit, because when you look at it, it's going to be... imagine looking at your past saying, like, imagine looking at your past and being proud of every decision you made. You obviously don't have much higher awareness. You know what I mean? Okay.
Or an ego.
Right.
Or an ego.
It's, you know how people say no regrets? I just don't agree with that. I think that's a mistake, because in order to invest in your future to be better, you have to at least understand that it didn't have to be that way. You didn't dude, we didn't have to make so many bad decisions, genuinely. Like, and I'll get vulnerable here. Like, when I was 16 years old, I went to meet a woman that was 19, a girl that was 19 in Johnston, Rhode Island, and I lost my virginity.
Technically, she was a woman.
Yeah.
19.
Exactly. I lost my virginity. And in hindsight, it's like interesting, because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that.
That's also somewhat illegal.
Yeah, that is illegal. I realize that now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I regret that decision, not necessarily because, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, that was an ego-driven, I wasn't ready. I would have much rather have waited to actually be in a relationship. You know, I never really saw her after that. And I think part of that was me avoiding the pain of that. And it was actually a good experience overall, I think, and it was a growth experience. But when I say that thing of, like, let's go back to when we were 16, and what's a terrible decision that you made? I drove to meet a woman, and I lost my virginity to a woman that I had only talked to 2 times before that, and that was the first time I met her. And it's like, in hindsight, it's like, that wasn't a very intelligent choice, but I was 16. So it's like, I don't want to let myself off the hook, though, fully. Okay, I forgive myself. I'm not upset with the fact that I did that. Like, this is why this is such a hard episode to articulate. Knowing what I know now, if I could go back, I would advise that version of Alan to make a better choice. Do I regret it? I would say a little bit, but it's hard because I'm grateful for where I ended up. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's easier to regret with gratitude when you're winning, when you feel like you're winning.
When you're proud of who you've become.
Yeah. I think what happens, I think there's 2 things. I do think the people who say, well, I don't know. If you're living in your past, then it's going to be way harder to extract the pain from it. If you've taken the pain from your past and now that's the reason you can't succeed, and I'm air quote, the reason you can't succeed or the reason you're in the circumstance you're in, then I think you're going to regret it way more. If you're living in your past, we take journeys back. When I was 16, I sliced my hand open with a knife, went to sleep that night, and almost lost most of my blood. And I ended my baseball career. I had to get stitches in. I had to get a cast, whatever.
Do you regret that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's almost like, but you're grateful for where you ended up.
I regret it, but I can look back. I don't live there anymore. It's okay to regret something that you're not currently still going through.
As long as you learn from it.
Yeah.
I think the pain of the regret is what you learn. You learn from it.
But
as long as you change and learn from it.
That's the thing. I think a lot of people's regrets are the same.
The same meaning what?
Maybe they haven't leveled up or they haven't grown into the next version of themselves. So when they look back, it's still fresh.
Right.
You know, like we're talking about something that happened to us 15 years ago. Like what happened to you last week that you regret?
This is another thing that I want to make sure. Oh, wow. That flew.
Time flies when you're jeffing.
It was deep, deep. So, okay, you know this. Emilia and I were in this studio a couple weekends ago. And we were doing relationship talks on a Saturday morning. I know we got to go. And it was icy. And Emilia slipped on the ice and fell down the stairs, like, onto the pavement. And it was, like, one of the scariest moments ever. It was the first time I've ever seen her get really hurt. And I was walking into the studio today, and now my subconscious associates fear with those stairs. That is conditioning. Those stairs are no less or more dangerous than any other stairs, but because I have an emotional experience where someone I love got hurt on those stairs, I'm telling you, every time I walk up them, I'm a little more careful. I think this is what I want to get home on this episode. Use your past and the pain of it to learn and grow. Don't live there.
Yeah.
If you want to have a little bit, if you have regret, feel it. Feel it. Improve, move on. Forgive. Forgive. But don't forget. Forgive, but don't forget. I have a little bit of regret because I was talking to Emilia about something deep while she had stuff in her hands, and I didn't like basically, I should have said, babe, careful, there might be ice. I should have been more attentive. We were deep in conversation. Now, when we're leaving the gym and it's cold out, I'm literally like, babe, careful on the stairs. Every single time now. I learned from what happened and I improved. That's all you can do. And when you do that, you won't have as much regret. You won't live in regret, but you have to use the pain in order to improve, I believe.
Yeah, forgive and live, not forgive and forget. I think that's a good... I don't want you to forget it, because if you forget it, you're not going to take the lessons.
Right.
Or leave the pain and regret and take the lessons. That's one of my favorite things. Leave the pain and take the lesson.
That's fire.
It's not always easy.
Just like you with the credit cards.
Yeah.
You know?
And now the way I operate on a daily basis is a lot of the reasons are because of that.
Exactly.
My goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan and I just opened up Group 2 for our next level group coaching. The first group sold out in 10 hours or 12 hours. We sold out all 10. So we opened up a second one. So we are going to do 3 months bi-weekly coaching calls with Alan and myself. And it's going to be a small group so we can get into your life. We can get into what you're going through in your business, what everything, health, wealth, love, anything you're going through, we will talk about. It's going to be completely custom and completely private. Nothing is going to see the light of day. And we're also going to have a private WhatsApp group that'll have all the members of this group coaching as well as Alan and myself. And we can go in there and talk every single day about what you're going through. Great accountability, great thing to get you to the next level. And if it's your first initial dip into coaching, it's a great way to get out of your comfort zone.
If you're an obliger, you're going to be amazing on a winning team. All these people are there for one reason, to learn, to grow, and to achieve their goals. It's going to be absolute fire. Cannot wait. Also, free speeches. So if you're a listener of this show, we're giving you a free virtual speech. We want to speak globally this year. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom questionnaire for you, for your organization. It can be a middle school, high school, college, organization, company, nonprofit, charity, you name it. If we believe in you and your people, we will do a custom questionnaire, we'll get feedback, and then we'll customize and cater the content specifically to what will get you to the next level.
Boom. And this Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Meetup Monday. How to grow your influence to impact more people. So Alan and I have a formula that we came up with together, and I think you added on to it. But there's 5 things that really matter when you want to influence somebody. And at the end of the day, no matter where you are in life, you are either influencing or being influenced or both at the same time. So this is going to be a fire meetup, 40 minutes. And then there will be 20 minutes where you can connect with other people and talk about the meetup, make friends, make accountability partners, help yourself get to the next level.
Oh, yeah?
You dig?
I dig.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we don't have fans, we have family. We will talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.